Hi.
Hi guys. So welcome to this Tuesday's Change School TV, episode 10. If you're here joining us for the first time, I'm Grace. This is Sol. We're the co-founders of the Change School, and every Tuesday we run our Change School TV. And if you're new, just like wave, or you can probably see like the like or the hearts. Can send us those throughout the session. Make any comments or suggestions or anything, whether you agree with us or disagree, just tell us in the comments and say hi. So today we're talking all about the hustle, the side hustle.
And moving from idea to income, and how you can sort of, create your own side hustle. And so for those of you who don't know, a side hustle is basically like a second job or something you do in addition to your full-time job. Hi, Muriel. Planner tool.
Okay, how much is it?
It's $37.99 USD. We're going to interject for a minute and just share. So Muriel's asking about our change planner, which is actually launching in a matter of days. And it is, to your question, Muriel, $37.99 USD.
Yeah, so we'll be sharing more info on that via our newsletter, as well as you can head on over to Heydays, to bit.ly/change planner, all small letters, if you want to register your early interest. That will be launching very, very soon, just in time for Christmas. Oh, thanks, Muriel. You're so cute. Hi. We try. It's just our hair is a little bit frizzy today because of the rain, for those of you in Singapore. So I guess the side hustle.
Yes, so rewind. So back to side hustle. So it's basically a second job that you can do in parallel with your full-time job. And I guess there's a lot of reasons to do a side hustle depending on where you are. So I guess the most common reason is earning extra cash. You know, whether you're trying to pay off debts. I can't see the text in there because it's white. But whether it's because you're wanting to earn extra income or pay off debts or, start saving for something. So those are kind of like the more practical and common reasons. But other reasons might be that you may have additional skills or passions or interests that you're not able to use in your current job that you can then sort of practice or utilize in a side hustle. And it's also really great for career transition because sometimes if you're looking at making a big jump or making a shift into something that you don't really have experience in, then it's a good way to kind of experiment and see see what it would be like to do different types of work, either as a project or as a freelancer, etc. So we're big advocates of side hustling for all those reasons, and we're going to share a little bit more about our own experiences with it and also how you can sort of make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess, there's a lot of plus and minuses for side hustles, and everyone at different points of their lives, do side hustles. I think some people do it like maybe to fulfill a certain part of themselves, like Sol said. Others may do it like as a hobby initially, and then sort of transition. But the good thing about side hustles is that it doesn't usually require like a huge investment, and it's something that you can kind of just start little by little, chipping away at something that's really burning inside of you that you want to do. Or obviously, if it's something that is a little bit more practical and you want to earn money on that side, it's also not a huge investment. There are different ways that you can do that. Obviously, you just have to be mindful of like the contracts in place, because in some countries, depending on where you are, it's not always possible to work, in another job, or if you have a visa or EP, employment pass under a certain thing. So those things you have to be mindful of, right? But usually, you could start with things on Upwork or freelancer.com or Fiverr and all of these sort of things. It does require a little bit of a... oh, hi, Alex! It does require, sometimes a little bit more of a higher skill set. So if you're like a marketing guru or a social media manager or, something of that sort, you can always do those extra things on the side as well, or even making candles. Such random things like Etsy.com. You know, a lot of people on there probably started that as side hustles initially. So the thing is that side hustle isn't always for everyone because it can be hard work in the sense of time management. You know, for me, I like to do multiple things if it's not necessarily work front or whatever, but the more that I have, sometimes the better I am in organizing my time. And otherwise, I just like to hang out on my couch and read books, you know. But the thing is like, you need to be able to manage your time and have discipline in order to do it. And that inner drive or that inner motivator, whether it's to make extra cash or to do something that you're really passionate about or, you know, have a huge motive to do. You know, I think the other thing is when you have a side hustle, you also need to be mindful of the energy that you're going to be giving to it, which means that you're probably going to take it away from, like, friends or social time or time with family, right? But it doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means that maybe for a certain period of time you forego the time that you would spend with other people because you're going to be focusing on the side hustle. So I think, you know, for myself, it's one of those things, because I've done multiple things always, I feel like I constantly have side hustles. And, you know, sometimes the side hustles were like community building. Sometimes the side hustles were like, you know, for cash purposes. And even, you know, now I still am constantly looking at different things. Doesn't mean that the Change School isn't the focus, right? And I think for Sol and I, we always have different things that we like to do. But at different stages, like I know when I had Agent Grace, I was doing things with like community building and that sort of stuff. So yeah.
So I guess there's three main things that you kind of want to be thinking about in deciding whether or not a side hustle is for you and what you would want to do and how you can make it happen. So I think the first main thing to really think about is, if you are thinking about a side hustle, why? And, you know, some of the reasons we already shared may or may not apply to you. So maybe it is an income boost, or maybe it is about paying off debt, or maybe it is because you're looking at transitioning and moving to another city, and it might be sort of like an interim solution so that you can either keep yourself busy or just have another form of income. Or you might be wanting to try different things that you're not able to use in your job. So as an example, recently a side hustle I've been thinking about for myself is more for extra income. And, you know, the considerations that I'm taking into account are, okay, I already have so much going on with the Change School, and I love everything I do at the Change School. However, you know, there is room, I guess, in certain... It's hard to read that text.
Yeah, sorry,
white,
Muriel.
right?
We'll see it once it moves up in the
Sorry,
comments.
Muriel. Yeah, it's just overlapping with our
But it is a
caption.
great gift. It is a great gift. We're definitely going to talk about that at the end of today's session because it's an awesome gift.
So when I start thinking about my own side hustle, you know, the things that I take into consideration are, you know, I don't necessarily want to end my social life, and I don't necessarily want to create more work for myself, or knowing that I'm someone who can be prone to anxiety, I don't want to create more things that are more likely to stress me out. So one way to think about it is, okay, what can you do that's like super, super easy, that is a talent or a skill that you have that doesn't take a lot of effort to sort of share or to help others with, and potentially you can monetize in some shape or form. So for me, you know, I was thinking through all these different skills that I'm not currently using in the work I do at the Change School. Okay, playing piano might be one of them, but that's probably not something I want to teach. But okay, speaking Mandarin is something that I think would be fun and engaging for me to teach, but also something valuable and something that people would, especially in Singapore, need and want, right? So how could I turn that into a side hustle, just as an example? So to recap, the first thing to think about is why you want to side hustle, and what that sort of goal is, and then that way you can kind of identify, okay, if it's not really cash driven, then it's more, you know, passion and skill driven, fine. If it is cash driven, what does it look like? It's probably not going to be your full income. So do you want it just to have $1,000 extra a month? Is it $2,000 extra a month? And then work backwards to kind of go, okay, what can I do to hit that goal?
Exactly, yeah. And I think it's like getting your house in order,
yeah.
For making that side hustle happen in the time frame that you need. to reach the goals that you want to achieve, or to help you get to a certain point. If it's about saving a certain amount of money to go on holiday, even, right?
Yeah.
Those sort of things. And I mean, it's funny because we were just talking before this, and we're both doing a little bit of our own side hustle. And hey, Hamish, hi too. So yeah, we're both doing a little bit of our own side hustle, and I think one thing for me is more that I was doing a lot of like coaching or mentoring, and it sort of funnels because we both do that at the Change School. But a lot of people were asking about setting up their own side hustle. So that's something that we're definitely exploring, right, and looking at further and how we can help other people do their side hustles, right? So, but I think you need to understand what type of a side hustle is it that you want to do. Right? What is the point of the side hustle? Again, we're always into like, why are you doing the side hustle, right? And like, not all side hustles have to be a business. It can be a hobby. It can be something that's more fun, but it can also be something that you transition into your full-time gig, right? So it's just being mindful of why you're wanting to do the side hustle and really listing that out. So if you want easy cash, like Sol said, what is it that you can do immediately? So is it like dog walking or babysitting, or even being an Uber driver? I mean, there's so many different ways. We live in this place, and I think Muriel just recently posted somewhere about the gig economy. And, there's all of these sort of opportunities that are at our fingertips that makes the side hustles a lot easier to take off and to do. And even like multiple side hustles, right? Some are more passive income, etc. I mean, I've been looking at how do you create automations around certain things, right? So that your time is able to be put towards maybe like greater use in a certain thing. So again, freelancing, so like coaching or consulting. I mean, I think for me, coaching and consulting has been what I've sort of come from, even though I don't really like to use the word coaching. But I think that's an easier side hustle for me because it's an extension of what I already do, and it's complementary to what I already do, right? And I would do it for very different reasons to, obviously our main business. But there's extensions that we can all have that's going to, be fruitful for us in different ways. And so, again, like selling online courses, or where can you do, or where can you help and put your skills to best use? Also bearing in mind the time that you're able to dedicate. So think about how much time are you able to dedicate each week or each month, and then kind of work it backwards with like the goals that you want to have in mind, right? So I think Sol's going to probably talk a little bit more about the time side.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's kind of like you said, right? I mean, it really is, I think, being realistic about how much time you want to put in and how much time you realistically can put in. And I think you do have to look holistically again, right, at your lifestyle, at the other priorities in your life, at all the things you kind of want to fit in a limited day, right? Like, we only have so much time. And I think how it all connects, right? Once you understand the why behind your side hustle, it can also help you to figure out the type, like we said, right? And there's a whole range, right? The simplest thing to do is things like freelancer jobs and, driving an Uber, babysitting, dog walking. Those are really simple things, not necessarily skills-based, but it can allow you extra cash. But sometimes people are doing side hustles more to test a business idea. Yeah. So that's also a possibility, but it doesn't have to be. So I think the only way to really know what works best for you is to really think about your why, to think about the time that you're willing to put in, and especially if it is a business idea, it's going to take a lot more time to set up initially, right? So you can pretty much say goodbye to your weekends initially to get your house in order, like you said, right? And to really figure out what your schedule can look like. And, if you decide, okay, that's not really what I'm up for, I kind of just want easy income on the side, I don't want to have to put in all that initial work and time and lose my social life, that's okay too. But I think it is really important to kind of think about those things beforehand so that it doesn't bog you down, it doesn't become a drag, but something that's exciting for you and something you can look forward to. And a lot of times, sometimes people just do it because they're miserable in their jobs and they want that side thing to look forward to without putting themselves at risk of not having that everyday, that normal income, right?
And actually, like, I remember doing this before when I had Agent Grace, and I was doing a lot of that work there. I was on, at that time it was called OJES, but because I wanted to practice my press release writing. So I was just doing, like agency, obviously, and doing the marketing and brand management, but I remember that I was doing my side hustle then, not to necessarily make extra income, obviously that would be, that's also a bonus, but because I needed to practice my my press release writing skills, right? So it's one of those things that you can also have a side hustle to do that, right? Like whether it's like testing or experimenting and all of that sort of stuff. So I guess once you've clarified your why and the how, right, it's really to figure out the what. So, the next step is like, how do you find your side hustle sweet spot? And everyone always talks about sweet spots, but, it is that thing. It's like, what is that, I guess, core area that you are able to really drive and feel confident in and not have that self-doubt, right? So it's the intersection of what you're great at, what you love to do, and what you can get paid to do, right? That's a really good point to start off, which everyone is kind of talking, I can't remember the term of it, but it's like ikigai or the Japanese. Ikigai, like, hey, Michelle. So I think it's just trying to understand what is that sweet spot, right? So what do you enjoy doing? What does the world need, or what can, you get paid for, as well as like what you're great at or what you love to do, right? And trying to find that. Or is it that you have a special talent that you're able to teach, whether it's like, speaking Chinese or even talking about food or like food styling. I read somewhere the other day someone set up a business, an online course on like food styling, right? So with a certain twist. So those are things like the more niche you go into, the better usually in like starting a side hustle that has a lot more opportunities to, I guess, blossom. And then it's like, okay, what ways do you like to help people? So if you're maybe more introverted, do you like to do something on the back end? So maybe it's like copywriting, maybe it's like writing newsletters for people, or maybe it's ghostwriting, that sort of stuff, right? Where you're not necessarily putting yourself out there. But then if you enjoy being with people, then what else is there, right? How do you build a side hustle that allows you to also touch on those different elements? And then, like what things bring you joy, what kind of special hobbies. We will, Muriel, you're such a good supporter. So as soon as our change planner goes on out, you'll be the first one that I'm going to tag on Facebook. And I'm going to tag all of you guys. But yes, definitely we will. And there will be a discount for multiple purchases, I believe. But we will tell you that at the end of this session anyways. We'll share a little bit more. So once you sort of looked at the why and the how, and then you're going to figure out on the what, then it's like kind of mapping out the systems, right? And also think about what people are willing to pay, because, if you're starting out and it's not necessarily about the cash and needing to make that extra money, then are you willing to get paid a lower rate, right? Whereas if you're wanting to do it for the cash, then you need to also understand what the value is that someone puts on the job or that side hustle that you're going to do. Whether, it's making candles or making soaps or making prints, whatever it is that side hustle is, you need to know what are people willing to pay you, and if it's for money, is that money that you're going to get enough? So I guess the next steps.
Just to add to that point, in case you're wondering how to find out, a good way is always to just go online and do some research and see other people who are offering the service you're thinking about, or just talk to people. And if you're at the stage where you kind of already know what you want to do, but you're not really sure how to get started, utilize your network. Go to friends and family. Sometimes you only need 3 customers, for example, to start something up or to see how it works. So I think just overall, if you can kind of use this. The nice thing about the side hustle is that there's really not much risk to it, right? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it works, great, and that might take you somewhere that you didn't expect. But I think the nice thing is there's no pressure about doing it right or wrong. I think it's more an opportunity to play, to be a little bit more creative, to think about what other parts of you can sort of bring and offer to the market and potentially make a little extra cash from. So I can't remember if you mentioned the worksheet or not. Did you?
No, not yet.
Okay, so
planning, right? Like,
to make it happen?
yes, the worksheet will help with that.
Yes, exactly. So we do, as always, well, we didn't last week, but this week we do once again have a free worksheet. Actually, it's a little workbook, and it will actually take you through the 3 things that we've just talked about. So if you prompter questions around your why, a few prompter questions to help you think about what type of side hustle you could potentially do, and then the 3 spheres for you to kind of brainstorm and then find that intersection of what you're great at or what your talents are, what some others would potentially pay you enough to do, and how you can sort of find that sweet spot where the things sort of connect. And so you can head on over. So we've got the link to download the worksheet, but we've also got a link to our blog, which is sort of a recap. You can also download the worksheet from there, but we also include additional links for more ideas and inspiration. I think there's like a list of 50 things you could do for a side hustle that wasn't to start a business, and then there's also some ideas for how you could start a business idea as your side hustle. So definitely check that out. I think you'll get some really great ideas and more inspiration and ways to think about your side hustle.
And I think just something we want to also emphasize, like, I think the word hustle is sometimes used in the wrong way.
Yes.
And, we did have a talk a few weeks back about burnout. And so I think one thing that we just want to put out there, like, as I'm even doing my own side hustle and I'm thinking about, like, okay, how do we reframe the word hustle and make it where you're hustling to your heartbeat, right? So it's about creating a hustle that works for your lifestyle, as well as obviously reaching the goals that you want to do, but without burning out. Because the word hustle is used to, like, work, and, like, do as much as you can, and most of the time that can, end up in burnout, right? So I think we just want to be mindful that hustling for us is about hustling and doing something that you really love, or hustling for a reason because you want to get something, you want to get somewhere, but it doesn't mean not taking care of yourself, and it doesn't mean, like, like to the point where you're working from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I mean, you can actually probably get a lot of work done in a shorter period of time if you create more white space for yourself. And sometimes, as we've talked about that before, that's where you end up having more ideas and inspiration. So I think we just want to kind of put that out there, right? And
such a good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Like,
because it's true. I mean, like, hustling is not, it's unfortunate. So if you go and Google the definition of hustle, I'm so glad you said that, because it's totally about kind of like mindless selling and just going crazy. And that's definitely not our message so much as making something happen. Right, for yourself. And, the reason we always talk about starting with your why, thinking through things a little bit, not getting stuck in the thinking, but, having that realistic and honest conversation with yourself about what is the whole picture going to look like? How is it going to impact your relationship, your life, your mental health, all of these things? Because like we always say, we're like holistic beings. We're not just what we do. We're not just, the roles that we play. We're multiple things. And so definitely, the idea of hustle is to have that drive and motivation to achieve the things that you want for yourself, but not just blindly being busy.
Exactly. Right? And even if it is a hustle to get extra cash, you're maybe stressed because you're not getting that extra cash. So therefore, that hustle should help relieve that, not add more stress, right? So I think that's something, that, we're just definitely, big advocates of. But I think, create your master plan, start working backwards, look at how it fits into your schedule, as well as look at how it fits into what it is you're wanting to do. And, you can plan the best year, because for 2018 because we're nearly at the end of this year. So
Oh,
how
it's
do you
the best
plan,
time.
right?
Yep, exactly.
And that's where our change planner comes in. So,
Thanks to Muriel for reminding us to share about it today.
Yes, so we will be, that has landed officially in, the shores of where it should be. And we just need to make sure that it gets onto the second part of where it needs to go.
So we're just testing a few things on the back end. We're a little bit funny about it because it has arrived. They're nearly ready to go live on Amazon, but we just want to make sure that there's no glitches, that logistics and everything is in place before we do a massive shout out. But we are just a matter of days away, and it is the best time, as we said, to start planning for your year ahead. It's also the best time to start planning the gifts you're going to be buying for silly season. And actually, it's also the best structure, whether it's a side hustle or whether it's, your New Year's resolutions. It really is a great tool to help you start mapping out whatever you're envisioning for 2018.
And, I mean, it is the gift of change at the right time. So that's kind of something to think about, obviously. And we will be looking at discounts for bulk purchases because we've had a few people ask us about bulk purchases.
Yes.
But just to be mindful, we haven't, there's a limited amount of change planners right now.
Yeah.
So, we would be, so grateful if you all bought in bulk and ran out of stock. But we're just also, we want to, set expectations right because it's not like we made, 10,000 units. So this is the first one. Okay, cool. Thanks, Muriel.
So Muriel, just make sure if you haven't already to sign up to that list on bit.ly/change planner, only because then you'll get a bunch of updates from us leading up to the launch, and then you'll be the first to know when we are live on Amazon. And that goes for everybody. So it's bit.ly/change planner, all lowercase. There is a little sign up button, register your interest, and once you're on that list, you will get all our updates. You'll get a sneak peek to what's inside, and you will be the first to know when we are available on Amazon.
And if you want to buy it for your company, so if you want to buy more than some people have asked about purchasing 10 or 20, so if you want to sort of, purchase more than just a couple, and even greater, then let us know because it is a good company gift as well. So just feel free to drop us an email.
Bye.
And so if you find that any of our Change School TV episodes are useful, please feel free to share it. The more people that we can get these, Change School TV episodes to, the more that we can add value to those that need it. And that's really what we're about. Each of these episodes are to give you bite-sized information that we can, tips, tools, tricks, as well as the downloadable worksheets that really allow you to make the change for yourself at home and take the change with you at home. So feel free to share this episode or our burnout one, which has been quite popular as well. So share the love, and as always, drop us a line at hello@thechangесchool if you want. And we'll be back next week, the same time.
Same channel.
Next week, though, it may just be me.
Oh, yes. So I will be away, and unfortunately not with the best Wi-Fi, so I probably won't be able to log in and jump on with Grace, but I will leave you in her good hands, and then I'll be back the next week.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to co-host, just you know where I am. All right. Well, have an awesome Tuesday. The first Tuesday of November it is.
Yes.
And it is, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, today's the 7th.
Yeah,
the
it is. Because last Tuesday was the 31st of October.
Ooh, yes, okay.
So, first Tuesday of November. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching, as always.
Bye.
See ya.